Okay. So in the last session, we completed up to the receivables configuration part. We just done up all these setups and we open receivables periods. Now we'll see the transaction part. First, we'll go and create the invoice transaction receivables. Okay, go to receivables, just navigator. Under receivables, we have a task called as billing. It's nothing but transaction workbench. It will take us to transaction workbench. Click on billing. Okay, go to task list. Say create transaction. Fine. So this user level we set default to business unit, so it's a defaulting. So system is taking the transaction class business unit. Now we have to select our transaction source. Cloud INC invoice transaction source, that will default transaction type. Then now here you can provide the customer details. Our customer name is Cloud INC customer 1. Just enter the name and tab out, it will fetch the record. Yes. So this is the transaction header information. Now scroll little down here, you could see lines, transaction lines, and distributions you can find from here. Once you just provide this information, fine. So you can select item here from inventory, or you can write some description. We'll select item. Okay. So this is the item we created within the inventory, right? Cloud INC item. Say okay. And quantity, say 1. Unit price is $10,000. Okay. Now you can save it. So we know based on the auto accounting, system will derive the debit and credit accounts. Fine, done. System create a transaction number, and if you want to see the distribution for this line, transaction line, go to actions, and here you can click on edit distributions. Say yes. So system created receivables under revenue account code combination. Say save and close. Now we have to complete the transaction to update the balances. So complete process follows as it is how we have in EBS. So now you can say complete and create another transaction. If you want to create one more transaction, you can click on this, or else you can click on drop down and say complete and review, or complete and close. Okay, just say complete and review. It won't close this page. As of now, status is incomplete. Transaction status. Now we submitted for completed, and still the page remain as it is since we selected complete and review. Done. So we create a transaction. Transaction number is 1. Now we'll go and create the receipt. We'll see how to create the receipt and how to apply the same receipt on this transaction. So to come out from this form, you can click on close, cancel. It's nothing but equal to close. So here we have another task called as accounts receivable. It will navigate us to receipt workbench. Just click on accounts receivable. Okay, go to task list. Say create receipt. Okay, say create receipt. So here the same two type of receipt, standard receipt and miscellaneous. By default, system is selecting standard and it's defaulting BU. The rest of information you can enter. So cloud INC check, right? The receipt method which we created is cloud INC check, and receipt number. So I'm entering 123. Receipt amount. Say we received 10,000 from customer. So on the other information, remittance bank and other details, system is defaulting from receipt method itself. And provide customer details. Let us provide customer details. The customer is cloud INC customer 1. Select customer site. Done. So now you can go to this drop down and say submit and apply manually. So we create a receipt, we are going to apply on the transaction. To apply this receipt on the transaction, okay, before that these are the statuses. It's a total, applied amount is 0, unaccounted amount, all the statuses you can see. So unapplied amount, whatever you enter, that is unapplied amount. Now we'll go and apply this receipt on the transaction. To apply this receipt on the transaction, here we have a tab called as add open receivables. Okay, add open receivables means we can find out open transactions to apply this receipt. So click on add open receivables. Okay, here we can search for the transaction with any one of these criteria. Receipt reference number is nothing but transaction number. Okay, here receipt matched by transaction number. Receipt reference number means transaction number. You can enter the receipt number or else you can search with the customer name. Okay, so I just given the transaction number. Click on search. So the same transaction you can see, select, say click on add, and say done. Just wait for a second, it's taking time. In the background we can see it's selected, yes. So now this receipt is applied on this transaction. You could see the total applied receipt amount is $10,000. Now what you can do is you can save it. If you want to perform the accounting for this receipt, or if you want to take any other action on this receipt, here we have actions function. Okay, you can just click on actions. Depending on the scenario, you may reverse accounting. Post to ledger means you can create accounting entries and transfer to GL. Only draft. Once you create, you can see the accounting. You can say save and close. This is how we can create receipt and we can apply on open transaction. So we just tested how to create the transaction and the standard receipt creation. Now we'll see the credit memo creation. That to manual credit memo. To create the credit memo, first we'll create one invoice. Create invoice. We'll go and create the invoice with the 5,000, and we'll create one credit memo. We'll create credit memo to minus 1,000. Okay, $1,000. First, we'll create the transaction with the $5,000, and then we'll see how to create the credit memo against this transaction. We'll go and test it. That we are going to create the manual credit memo. After completing that, we'll see how to create the credit memo automatically without providing any credit memo related information, detailed information. Fine. So we'll go and create the transaction with 5,000 first. Go to transaction workbench, nothing but billing. You have to select the task called as billing, which will take us to transaction workbench. The title bar you can see transactions billing. So transaction workbench, or you can call as billing work area. So create transaction. Select transaction source, Cloud INC invoice. Select customer. Select item. Just enter font. I think it's not fetching properly. So 1 second, we'll try again. So select task called as billing. Say create transaction. Now select transaction source, invoice transaction source, customer details, Cloud INC. Scroll a little down. Here, instead of typing within this field, what you can do, you can go with the search option and do search and select. Select and say OK. Quantity 1. Unit price as we planned. You can enter 5,000. So transaction amount will become 5,000. Now you can save this as transaction. Here you can find various actions. First we'll just complete it, then we'll look into that. Say complete and review. Just go to actions. So here there are different multiple actions which you can perform against this transaction. Okay, against this you can create the credit transaction. You can duplicate this transaction. You can manage adjustments, review installments, review distributions. You can duplicate this transaction. Same, so duplicate post You can create accounting entries and transfer. All you can perform. Okay, let's create accounting entries. Created. If you want to view, you can view. Okay. Receivables is debited. Revenues credited.
Lakshman, the create accounting name is changed here. In
No, no,
Markwell, we
no, not changed. Just let me save it. The create accounting is not changed, like the same as it is we have, and how we do the configuration EBS same we followed. Okay, no changes to that. Fine. So we have a transaction with a 5,000. The transaction number is 2. Right. Okay. You can cancel. Nothing but close. So just let's navigate to receipt workbench to create the receipt. Okay. I think we planned for credit memo. Now we'll go and create the credit memo. Fine. So create transaction. So by just there are multiple ways how you can create that. From here you can navigate, or else from the actions also you can do when you are on the same transaction. So now we are going to create the credit memo. Select transaction class as credit memo. Okay, select transaction class as credit memo. Now select transaction source, Cloud INC credit memo. Select customer details. And you can select item, or simply you can write correction. Since field is mandatory, you can enter quantity. How much you want to reduce? $1,000. So here you can say complete and review. Okay, here you can find the actions. If you want to perform the accounting, you can do it. Otherwise, if you want to apply this credit memo on the transaction, what you can do is you can close it. Credit memo transaction number is 1. So we want to apply this credit memo on the transaction. To apply, you have to navigate to receipt workbench by clicking on accounts receivable. Go to task list and scroll little down. Here you could see manage credit memo applications. Okay, manage credit memo applications. Click on this task. Now you can find here you can find the transaction. So which credit memo you want to apply on the transaction. Okay. Just click on the transaction number. And here say add open receivables. On which transaction we want to apply this credit memo? Transaction number 2. created with a minus 1000. Oh, sorry, 5000, right? We created transaction number 2 with $5,000. So we are going to apply this credit memo with $1,000. So just click on add, say done. Now if you look at this transaction, the original amount is $5,000. Now we applied credit memo on this transaction. The amount due is 4,000. Applied amount is 1,000. This is how just you can apply the credit memo on the transaction through manual process. Say save and close. Now the total transaction amount is for 5,000. We applied one credit memo through manual process with $1,000. Now the still outstanding within the transaction is 4. Now we'll go and reduce one more 1,000 from the transaction through automatic credit memo process. Okay. To create that, you can navigate to billing task. So in EBS, we could see credit transaction, right? The same task you can find, same functionality you can find here. Credit transaction. Just select credit transaction. Directly from the transaction, we can specify how much you want to reduce. Based on that, system will create credit memo. So we have a transaction with a 5,000, already 1,000 is reduced. From the same transaction, we want to reduce one more 1,000. So transaction number is 2. Just tab out, it will fetch the relevant details, the amount and all. See, the original amount is 5,000. We performed an activity. It's nothing but credit memo. Now the current balance is 4,000. From this 4,000, how much you want to reduce, that you can specify. So before that, for credit memo, which transaction, source, transaction type you require, that you have to select. For credit memo, select credit memo transaction source. And here in terms of percentage or amount, you can enter how much you want to reduce. The current balance is 4,000 only. Say minus 1,000 I want to reduce. That's all. So we don't just we have to input this as we know. Then you can say complete and review. Okay. The system created one more credit memo. The credit memo number is 2. Created with $1,000. Okay. Done. Now you can say close. Now we created one credit memo and the system created another one through this credit transaction process. We'll go and find all the credit memos and invoices. Go to manage transactions. Okay, with the search with the customer name. It says equals to starts with okay. Select customer, say okay, click on search. Now we can find this customer related all the transactions. It's taking time. Yeah. So this is search criteria we used, of course, and we have 4 transactions, but we created only 3. Right? This credit memo we created. This credit memo is created by system. We just entered. So minus 1000, and this is created against original transaction 2. So this is all about credit memo creation. We created through manual process by using the credit transaction functionality also we created. Now we'll see how to create the debit memo transaction. Now what we'll do is, so in invoice number 2, then we created invoice with the 5000. The our invoice or transaction number is 2. From that we reduced 2000 by creating 2 credit memos. Right? We reduced. Now this outstanding is 3000. This transaction outstanding is 3000. Reason, we created 2 credit memos with a 1000, total 2000. Outstanding is 3000. Now I want to add one more 1000 to this transaction. In reality, the balances you cannot update, but you can create the debit memo by providing this transaction number as a reference number. Okay, we'll see how to create the debit memo transaction. So go to billing, go to task list, so create transaction. Select debit memo. Select debit transaction source. Say addition. We are adding some. The plan is just we want to add some amount to existing transaction. How much you want to add? Say $1000. Now go to show mode. Okay, show mode. Go to miscellaneous. Here you can find the field called as cross reference. In case of EBS, if you go to this cross reference field to provide the reference to this debit memo, so you can find existing transactions, but here you don't find any existing transaction within the field from LOV. Only the option is you have to input the original transaction number. By referring which transaction you are creating this debit memo, just you can specify the reference number. You cannot select from list of values. This is how you can.
Lakshman,
Yeah, please.
would you have a consolidated invoice concept which is there in ABS?
Yes. We have balance forward billing.
So is that the part of this one?
Yes. Yeah,
The miscellaneous.
Okay. Yeah, we are going to test it.
Thank
So yeah, here you can provide the cross reference. Only the difference when you compare with EBS is there you can select only existing transactions, but here system will allow you to input any value. But always will make sure that we are providing the existing transaction number. The rest of process remains same. So complete and review. We know this amount cannot be added to this transaction, just providing the reference. But purpose wise, we say debit memo to add amount to existing transaction. It's all about by providing the reference. That's all. Close it. If you want to create accounting entries, you can create. You can go to actions from there. You can initiate the accounting creation. Now we'll see the transaction with memo lines. Okay. So go to create transaction task. Select transaction source, Cloud INC invoice transaction source, and just select customer. In the line level, so we have a description field. In case of VBS, description field is a dynamic field which allows any text, or else from LOB you can select existing values. Existing values means memo lines. So in EBS, we use the description field to write some description or else to select memo line. But here, for a memo line, we have a separate field. Okay, here you may just enter the description as a services, and here you can select the memo line name. Okay, we created, I think, some consulting fee. Right, this is a memo line we created as a part of our receivables configuration. So the same system is defaulting to description also. Quantity 1, say $2,000. So whether you want to derive the accounting from memo line or based on transaction type or constant, whatever, however you want to derive, that you can set in the auto accounting. That is a quite common definition, how you want to derive the accounting. So then you can say complete and review. Okay, done. Now we'll see the chargeback transaction creation. Fine. Chargeback. So when we talk about chargeback, it's all about like closing the open amount and creating the new transaction against the open amount, or call it as item. So to test this functionality, we'll go with a simple example here. So first we'll create the transaction. So create transaction. So let's create with the $25,000, and say we have a transaction with one customer for 25,000. Customer has to pay today 25,000, but customer is paying the partial amount. Say customer is paying only 5,000 today. So create receipt with 5,000 and apply. Say for remaining amount, customer is requesting us to postpone the due date. Okay, customer is asking to postpone the due date. So if that is a scenario, we can charge back to the remaining amount by creating the new transaction. So what are the outstanding amount we have within the transaction? So customer is not asking some time, he is asking to change the due date itself. So in that scenarios, you can create the chargeback transaction against the open amount. How much open amount we have after pay after applying 5,000? 20,000. So say create chargeback transaction for 20,000 with a new due date, or say by postponing the due date. Okay, if you are not going to postpone the due date for the remaining amount, we no need to create the chargeback. We'll continue with the same transaction. Whenever customer will pay, that amount will be applying depending on that the late payments, etc. The charges may be applicable. But here the plan is we are going to postpone the due date on customer request. So first we'll create the transaction, then we'll create the receipt and we'll apply. For remaining amount, we have to create the chargeback transaction. And to create the chargeback transaction, we require the receivable activity for chargeback. So create receivable activity for chargeback. For chargeback. Just we have to create receivable activity. Then we can go with this process. Finally, we can create the chargeback transaction. Fine. We'll see this. So first we'll go and create the receivable activity for chargeback. So we have to navigate to our project. What we'll do is we'll open the one more tab. So setup part we can do from one tab, transaction part we can do from different tab. So it's not mandatory you have to do this setup from project. You can do from directly this FSM search page. Search for receivables activities. So task name is manage receivables activities. So I create. So before that we'll check any predefined system defined receivable activities available for chargeback or not. So select our BU. So we know very well whenever you do the setups for receivables, automatically system creates receivable activities for the specific BU. Okay, so those all are these. For our business unit also system created automatically receivable activities. There are few which we created. On discount and on discount. These two already we created. Rest of all are by default system created. So out of this we can see one receivable activity called as chargeback adjustment. This receivable activity we can use. So what you can do is you can select it, directly click on this, it will open, and provide the relevant account. Before that, say activity GL account, tax rate code structure none, source none, and here you can provide the chargeback account. Okay, search for chargeback account. You can go with advanced search. Say contains search credit card chargeback. Okay, it's a different one. No issues. We'll choose it. So basically, you can select chargeback adjustment account. Since that is not there, I'm choosing this account. Fine. Say save and close. Say save and close. Done. We created chargeback for chargeback receivable activity. Now we can create the transaction as we discussed. 25,000 received with the 5. We'll apply for remaining amount. We'll create the chargeback transaction. The chargeback transaction finally would be equal to invoice transaction only, right? So go to transaction workbench. Here we have a tab. So create transaction. So cloud and INC invoice transaction. Customer cloud INC. Okay. You may select item or else directly you can just write some description. $25,000. say complete undo close. Transaction number is 4. Now switch to receipt workbench. Go to task list. Say create receipt. Select receipt method. Cloud INC check the receipt number. So 1111. So check number and say how much amount we received. 5,000 only. From which customer? Cloud INC customer. From which site? So site. Done. Now you can go to submit and apply. Go to add open receivables. Transaction number is 4. Search. The transaction amount is $25,000. We are applying only $5,000. Just click on done. Click on add and say done. Applied. Amount due is $20,000. Okay, the same you can see. Total applied amount is 5,000 only. So now we want to charge back this amount with a new due date by closing this transaction. Okay, within this transaction you can see due amount as 20,000. We want to close and we want to reopen with a different transaction with new due date or by postponing the due date. In that case, what we have to do is before that just save it. After applying the receipt and the transaction, save it. To perform the chargeback, go to actions. Okay, go to actions. Here we have a function called as create chargeback. Just click on this. So you have to select chargeback transaction type. Cloud INC chargeback. Transaction source we didn't create. The reason not required. So by default system creates chargeback transaction source for all the business that source system will use for this chargeback transaction creation. So what is the reason you are going to charge back? Okay, so reason you can just specify. So some relevant reason you can specify, or else these all you can add to lookups and all. So some charges, discount, etc. Just nothing. Just I'm not selecting. There is no relevant one. Okay, here I can write comments. Customer request. Customer requested, and we are charged back. Say save and close. The chargeback number is 1,01,000. Now if you see within this transaction, amount due is 0 because system closed this open item. It will open with a new transaction called a chargeback transaction. Now you can say save and close. Go to transaction workbench. Go to task list. Say manage transactions. So here we can search with the customer name. search. So now you can find all these customer transactions. Out of that, you can find chargeback transaction also, which is created by system automatically. This is created against which transaction? The original transaction number is 4. Okay. So this is how we can create the chargeback transaction. The same process we follow in EBS also. Whatever we are testing in receivables, same process as this we follow. So on account receipt. So to test this, already we have a transactions, right? No issues. So then find like. So what we'll do is we'll create receipt some amount, and I'll just will apply the receipt on that any one of the transaction. Remaining amount how to keep on the customer account as on account receipt we'll see. Okay. So we'll go and create one receipt with 5 lakhs. Okay, we'll create receipt with the 5 lakhs. Say we received payment from customer for 5 lakhs, and we'll go and create the receipt. Go to receipt workbench. Receipt number, amount say 5 lakhs. Select site. Say submit and apply. Fine. So now we can just go to open receivables, and you can search with the customer so that you can find out all outstanding transactions. Okay. Cloud INC. Search. Select. Say okay. And click on search. Fine. So apply this the receipt on these 2 transactions. Select, hold shift, and select one more transaction. 2 transactions were selected. Say add, and click on done. So we received 5 lakhs. We applied that amount on open transaction. Open transaction amount only 5,000, 2,000 under 3,000. So now we have $4,95,000. So this amount we can keep on customer account. So up to here you can save it. Okay. Now to keep this unapplied amount on account, so go to actions. Okay. Just go to more. Say create on account application. Now out of this 4,95,000, how much amount you want to keep on account. Say total amount. Just click on OK. So this is how just you can keep on account. So later point of time, if you have any transaction which is outstanding, if you want to apply this on account amount, what we can do is we can remove from on account. So now it's on account amount. Now what you can do is you can unapply this application. Just select it and say unapply application. Again, this would be available as unapplied. See, as of now it is showing as on account amount. Now we are unapplying. Again, it will move to unapplied account. So this is how just you can keep the excess amount on account, and anytime you can release and you can apply on open transactions. Okay, fine. Just be done with this. So receipt, miscellaneous receipt creation. Okay, fine. Miscellaneous receipt. So to create the miscellaneous receipt, we have to create one receivable activity, right? So to address what purpose we are receiving the miscellaneous revenue into organization, we have to create one receivable activity, so that whenever we create miscellaneous receipt, system will be hitting that miscellaneous revenue to the respective account, which is the part of receivable activity. So I create receivables activity for miscellaneous receipt or miscellaneous revenue. Basically, we create miscellaneous receipt for miscellaneous revenue. Okay, you can specify the reason also why you are getting the miscellaneous revenue. With the reason, by specifying the reason, you can create miscellaneous receivable activity. You may create multiple with multiple reasons. Fine. So then we'll go and create miscellaneous receipt. That's all. First, we'll go and create the receivable activity for miscellaneous receipt. Go to this tab. Go to search. Search for receivables activities. Manage receivables activities. And click on create. Select our business unit. Cloud Inc. US business unit. Cloud Inc. Miscellaneous cash or miscellaneous revenue. Currently, you can name it as revenue. And activity type, select as a miscellaneous cash and provide relevant account. Here say none. Okay. So select account code combination here. Select department. So account. Okay, just select account. Maybe some very common account as a miscellaneous revenue, or else you may specify the reason. In that case, you can create receivable activity also with a reason. So you are getting the miscellaneous revenue because you sold some scrap. In that case, you may write exactly the same account you can select. So for now here, we'll go with the miscellaneous revenue account. So miscellaneous revenue, select. If any reason we get miscellaneous revenue into organization, we may hit to this account. That says save and close. Fine. So now directly we can go and create the miscellaneous receipt. Go to accounts receivable task, which is nothing but receipt workbench. Say create receipt. And select receipt type as miscellaneous. And select receipt method, how you are receiving the payment. Say the miscellaneous revenue you are getting through check. The receipt number, any number you can enter. Because of which activity you are receiving this amount. The activity name you may write, or else the common name you can use as a miscellaneous revenue. This amount we are getting as a miscellaneous revenue. How much we are getting? $10. That's all. Okay, if you want to input some reference information or some comments about why you are receiving and all, you may write in this. Otherwise, this is how we create the miscellaneous receipt. Done. So that $10 goes and hit to the miscellaneous revenue account. Okay, that's all about miscellaneous receipt creation. Now we'll see how to create the receipts through spreadsheet, which we call as a batch receipts. Okay, in EBS we can create the batch receipts, but here the same batch receipts functionality they given through spreadsheet. Right? We'll go and create the receipts from spreadsheet. Create receipts from spreadsheet. So when I talk about this receipt batch or receipts creation through spreadsheet, first we'll create receipts in spreadsheet. Second step is we'll import into here, and once you import receipts into here, those receipts you cannot apply on the transaction until unless you post the receipts. It's a mandatory how to post them. We have to post the receipts. Okay, create receipts in spreadsheet and import into receivables. Then post receipts. After posting, those receipts would be available to apply on any transaction. Okay, so you can apply on the transaction. We know how to apply that. We don't need to test again. So we have to understand how to create, and then we'll import and how to post them. It's a simple action we have to perform. Fine. So just go to accounts receivables task. Go to task list. Here you can see the task called as create receipts in spreadsheet. Now you can see the name, create receipts in spreadsheet. Just click on this task. Say OK. Say connect. Fine. So select batch source. So cloud manual receipt source as a part of setups we created, right? So that one you can select. Batch name, batch one. Receipt method, cloud INC check. Remittance bank account details, double click and select. Account system is defaulting. Batch date, all that information system is defaulting. Now here you can set the controls. How many receipts you want to enter? The count, say two. What is how much amount would be for those two receipts? So once you just start creating, system will start tracking and it will be showing how many we plan to enter, how many we entered in difference, and then the same will be applicable for amount also. So sequence number, receipt number, receipt amount, say $30,000. Receipt date and all not required. Accounting date. Same you can take here. Receipt currency, USD, and provide customer details. Customer site. Done. So now you can go to create receipt batch, say upload. Okay, we just planned two receipts, right? We'll enter one more. Just you can copy and paste. Now you can say upload. So we created and imported. You can see the confirmation as it was successful. Done. What is the next step? We have to post them. So those receipts would be available here. See receipt batches. Those will be available here. You may just refresh it or else switch to other task and come back to the same. So system will take the updates. Now the batch is available. We're given the batch number as a batch 1. Count is 2 receipts. The actual count also same. Total amount is 50,000. Now select this batch. Say post. Okay, now you can just find those receipts which are in that batch. Go to manage receipts. Batch number we given as a batch 1. Search. Okay, 2 receipts we created within that batch. So this is how just we can create the receipts, and you have to post them if you want to apply. Now this receipt should be available for any transaction application. Okay, this is the point we have to understand. Done. Now just we'll look at receipt reversal. Okay, when you reverse the receipt, we know. So we have a standard receipt reversal. If you reverse the receipt, so system will undo the receipt application and the transaction that happens in case of standard receipt reversal. Debit memo receipt reversal, whatever the receipt we are applying on the transaction, it won't reverse. Instead of reversing, it will open that same amounts with a new transaction. That new transaction is nothing but debit memo transaction. Just we'll go and perform these two actions. So we'll go to any one of the receipt to reverse. Manage receipts. Search with the customer. Fine. So these are the receipts we have. Now say we want to reverse this receipt. First we'll go with the standard receipt reversal. If you want to reverse this receipt, select it here from actions. You can find reverse. So before that, what we'll do is we'll open this receipt. You can see this receipt is applied on which transaction? Transaction number 4. Okay, this receipt we applied on the transaction number 4, $5,000. Now go to actions, say reverse. So reason category. Say customer given the check we submitted in the bank, but no funds available in the customer account. Reason category and reason you may select same. Then directly you can say reverse. Now what system will do? It will undo that receipt application and the transaction since we are reversing this receipt. Now if you see, since receipt is reversed, here there is no transaction information. This receipt is reversed means, so again system will reopen the transaction. This happens in standard receipt reversal. Now we'll see debit memo receipt reversal. The application it won't disturb and it will reopen the same amounts with the debit memo in case of debit memo receipt reversal. We'll go and see that. Now we'll just go with this transaction 1, 2, 3. So this receipt status is reversed. Just click on edit or open. Now if you see the receipt 1, 2, 3, this receipt is applied on the transaction number 1. Okay, on transaction number 1 it is applied. Once you reverse this receipt by using the debit memo receipt reversal, this application will remain same. How much is applied with the same amount, system will create the debit memo, which is equal to invoice only. So here what we can do is we can go to actions, say reverse. Reason category and a reason. And enable debit memo reversal. And when system creates the debit memo against this reversal, it has to use which transaction type? Debit memo transaction type only. Okay, then say reverse. Now we submitted for reversal. Okay, now still you could see this application remain as it is. So save and close. Now you can find the debit memo transaction with the 10,000 because of reversal. Go to transaction workbench. Say manage transactions. So search with the customer name. Say okay. Here you can see system created debit memo with 10,000. This is the debit memo transaction type which you selected. Automatically system taken DM debit memo reversal transaction source. The debit memo transaction number is this. Okay. It's all about debit memo receipt reversal. We compare all the same process we have in EBS also. The next topic is reciprocal customer. Just the configuration and the process will be testing. The concept name is reciprocal customers. So what does it mean by reciprocal customer? This feature we have in EBS also. EBS release 12 we have reciprocal customer case. What we do? We'll have a transaction with one customer, but we can receive the payment from another customer or call as another party. So to support that kind of functionality, what setups we have to perform? Okay. So what setups we have to perform, we'll see now. First, we'll just go with a simple example, or we'll see the setups and we'll go with a simple example. So to test this functionality, we have to maintain one more customer also. Now we have only one customer. We'll go and create one more customer. So create, or we'll create customer. We'll discuss. Create new customer. So we have already one customer called as Cloud INC customer 1. Now we'll create Cloud INC customer 2. Okay, after creating one more customer, we can set up the system options. Within the system options, we can find one control option called as create reciprocal customers. Okay, that we have to just enable. Say enable reciprocal customer set system options. Within the system options, we have to enable reciprocal customers checkbox, which enables our BU to have a reciprocal customers. After that, so whatever the reference data set we used in the customer definition time, that reference data set we have to assign to BU. We'll see that in the system process. We'll see what exactly meaning of this. Say assign reference data set to BU. Okay, we have to assign whatever the reference data set we are using for customer account definition time, that we have to assign to BU through business unit set assignments task. Once we're done with that, between two customers we have to create the relationship which we call as reciprocal relationship. So create reciprocal relationship. Okay, create reciprocal relationship. Done. So these are the setups we have to do. After that, what we'll do is we have two customers, right? Cloud INC customer 1, Cloud INC customer 2. Anyway, we'll go and create it, customer 2. So after completing these setups, we'll just create the transaction, and yep, let's say, so create transaction against Cloud INC customer one. The customer one name will create the transaction, and will create receipt against Cloud INC customer 2. Okay, transaction against customer 1, receipt against customer 2. Because of these setups and reciprocal relationship, system will allow us to apply receipt on the transaction. So create receipt against Cloud INC customer 2 and apply this receipt on Cloud INC customer 1 transaction. That's all. So this is what we call as reciprocal customers. So we'll make behalf of, normally if you create the transaction against this customer has to pay. Cloud INC customer 1 has to pay. In reciprocal relationship, what we do is behalf of Cloud INC customer 1, okay, customer 2 also can make the payment. That's how we'll create the relationship. So system will allow us to perform that sort of transactions. We'll go and do it. First, we'll go and create one more customer called as Cloud INC customer 2. So go to search. From here also you can create the customer. Say create customer. Task is create customer. The same you can find from the project also. So customer name is Cloud INC customer 2 and reference data set and provide address, even optional, provide it as a mandatory. Okay, select postal code, press system will default. Now you can specify the purpose of this address purposes. Bill to and say ship to. When you say the site is shipped to, you have to map with the bill to. Done. Say save and close. The assign customer profile class to this customer at account and site level. System is showing it's a matching, okay, with the existing customers. No issues. Say create as a new. Now find our customer Cloud INC customer 2. So customer header record, account and site. Header record, account and site. We created customer record and site. Before creating the site, system will create account automatically for every customer. Now just click on account number. Just click on account number, it will take us to account definition page. So here So we have to assign the profile customer profile class. Go to profile history. You could see default profile class freezed. Now go to action, say insert or correct, anyone you can select. Change to our profile class, Cloud INC standard. Say yes. Say save and close. And site. Just click on site number. Go to profile history. Say create site profile. It will default profile class from account to site. Defaulted. Say save and close. Fine. We have one more. Now we have total 2 customers which are required to test this reciprocal concept. So done. What is the next step? We have to enable reciprocal customer set system options. Enabling at system options means enabling for business unit, as we maintain the system options at BU level, right? So go to project to perform this task. Navigate to project. Just click on overview. And search for the task called as system options. Manage receivable system options. Click on go to task icon. Okay, find system options for our business unit. Select, search. Okay, just click on the BU name. It will open the system options definition. So within the system options, if you scroll little down, you can see the customer section. Enable create reciprocal customer checkbox. That means that we are enabling for our business unit level. Say save and close. Now, what are the reference data set we used in the customer account or site definition type? The same we have to associate to BU. To perform that, go to business unit set assignments. Go to manage business unit set assignments. Just click on go to task icon. So here we have one reference data object called as customer account relationship. Okay, customer account relationship. So there we have to select the same reference data set which we used in the customer definition. The below one we have to select here. Okay, whatever we have at this level, the same we can select. Cloud INC. USBU customer sites reference data set. So save and close. Done. What is the next task? We have to create the reciprocal relationship between the customers. So we want to create the transaction against which customer, Cloud INC customer 1. So from that customer, we can create the relationship saying that behalf of this customer, we can receive the payment from which other customer. That relationship we have to create. Now we are going to create the transaction against which customer. We have to go to that customer definition. Go to Cloud INC customer 1 definition. So say manage customers. See, not only from here, even from this navigator, from the respective workbench also you can navigate to the customers. So you can go to receivables, billing, account receivables. Okay, go to task list. From here also you can go to customers. So we have a manage customers. Okay, find our customer. Okay, so click on account number. Here you could see the tab called as relationship. Click on add. Lead account. We'll just take the account for that customer. Account number we require. So just make a note of this customer 2 account number. So 17099. Go to customer 1 to specify the relationship. Now click on account number of this customer 1. Go to relationship, click on create. Provide this account number. You want to create the relationship with which other customer. That customer number you can select and say reciprocal relationship and select account relationship set what you given in the customer definition tab as well as the BU level. Say OK. Just click on OK. Say save and close. Done. So only account level, you don't need to set at site level. Site level it won't be applicable. Only account level, that would be enough. No relationship at account level, site level. Only account level. We just done with that. Now we'll go and create the transaction against customer 1 and we'll create receipt with the customer 2. Still system will allow us to apply the customer 2 receipt with the customer 1 transaction. Test it. Create transaction against customer 1. Select customer 1. You can select item or else just you can write the description. That would be enough. Say $20,000. Say complete and close. The transaction number is 5. Now go to receipt workbench and create receipt against customer 2. $20,000. From which customer we received this $20,000? Enter that as customer details. Okay, customer 2. Now say submit and apply. Go to add open receivables. Fine. Now just you can search for the customer 1 transaction. Transaction, customer name, customer 1. The transactions are belongs to which customer. Receipt against customer 2, but we want to apply on customer 1 transaction. Select and search. Now you can find the transaction with the $20,000 which is created against customer 1. Now we are going to apply the receipt on this transaction. Select, say add. It will allow. The reason it will look at relationship. Just click on done. So this transaction 5 belongs to customer 1, but receipt which we applied is customer 2. So this is what we call as reciprocal customer transactions. Done with these 2 transactions also. Fine. So this cross currency receipt write off and all we'll see. So 1, 2, 3. And 1. Okay. So 3 sessions, 3 more sessions we require to close the receivables. That's all. Okay. So that's all for today. Any questions from anyone, please?